Sorry guys, I kind of ran out of time. I didn't run out of time, I forgot. Because I got into work mode that I was making a video. But the radiator, if it helps at all, is installed now. So when I took it off, I took these two bolts off. You got two bolts here. And then for the fan shroud, you got bolt here, here, and here. Also took off the fan clutch, which was pretty easy. Excuse the kids yelling in the background. Those are my nephews. They're playing around and swimming. So we took off these bolts and nuts here. Had to kind of work the fan off, but it worked out. It's over there. Make sure you're ready to make a big mess. We have some cardboard down there to help keep the mess, control it all, contain it. For these lines, they're not going to work with the electric cooling fan, so I'm going to see if I can cut these somewhere over here and then put an adapter on it to make it a soft line to go around the fans. I haven't even measured the fans, but I already know they're not going to fit with that line in the way. Another tip for getting off the clutch, the fan clutch, is to loosen up your pulleys, your belts here, and that releases some of the tension. Be careful, don't pull on the whole pulley when you're taking this off, or else you'll take off everything, and then you gotta redo all your belts and everything. So take pictures of that just in case it happens. Probably not as much help as I wanted it to be. Oh, there's also, for the fan shroud, two other screws that go down here. Everything's pretty straightforward for the radiator, though. Just make sure all your lines are disconnected, and any fittings, like this fitting right here, did not come with my new radiator, and this was on the old one. This is on a lower tranny cooler line. I also have a auxiliary tranny cooler right there that I installed before, much beforehand. I don't think I made a video on that one, but that was also pretty straightforward. Hopefully, not as helpful as, like I said, I wanted it to be, but hopefully this kind of helps you get an idea of the installation. It took me about, taking my sweet ass time, maybe 2.5 hours. Yeah, I had to keep going to the garage, getting tools and borrowing tools and stuff. So we got the radiator in by sunset, which was my goal for today. And then the cooling fan, I'm going to take some measurements right now and kind of see what we're working with. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have everything in here put together and take it down the road for a test drive, and it won't blow up. So, all right, so here we got the Yoshimoto twin cooling fans. Fits really nicely between the radiator. I mean, a little extra space there. We can go back and forth with that. My only concern is this lip comes up a little high. I literally just sat it in there, so I don't know if there's more room to work it in there a little lower. But it does look like it's not going to be too difficult if there is any retrofitting or modifications that have to be done. And dinner's ready. So of course I got some last minute work I got to get done this morning that I wasn't expecting to have to do, that's not related to the truck. So I am going to end up changing the radiator hoses just because they're so cheap, might as well. And these hoses I'm going to keep original, they're in really good condition still. Clearance is cool, I'm just kind of figure out how to move these oil cooler lines, because they're pretty close to fitting, but obviously I'm not going to force anything. I might just go to soft lines. I'll let you guys know what I end up figuring out, so you guys can try it out. So again, hopefully this helps you guys out. And this is a new radiator. Yeah, it's freaking plastic, but I couldn't find anybody that made one that was metal. And this is a $300 some radiator. So hopefully, I'll get a couple good years out of it at least. So for the electric fan setup, we dropped in the radiator yesterday. On the top, it's just these two bolts holding it in with this bolt, this cross plastic piece. And then you got another bolt, two down here. And that basically holds in the radiator, excluding your hoses and everything that's connected to it. So we dropped it back in yesterday. I would recommend having at least one other person help you. 2 other people would be ideal. So what we did, we kind of just dropped in this Yoshimoto dual electric fan, and it fits in there pretty good. It looks like it's gonna almost bolt in on that side. This side is off by a little bit, but that's not a problem. This is plastic. Just be very careful when you're drilling this so you don't go through your new radiator that you're installing if you're putting a new one, or even your old one. Wiring should be pretty straightforward. Buy a wiring harness with a fuse, inline fuse. I got mine off of Amazon or eBay, I think it was, for about 15 bucks. Not expensive. And I'm also going to be putting an overdrive switch, so for whatever reason the coolant temperature sensor that comes on the dual electric fans doesn't function or malfunctions, I can override it and turn it on with a switch inside. But I don't think we're going to get to the switch today. We're going to get to putting the dual electric fans in here and hopefully at least wiring everything excluding the switch. I don't have the switch is the only reason I wouldn't be doing it today. And then this line looks like we might be able to work it because I didn't notice before that it's a soft line on that side. So we still might be able to use this original oil cooler line, the top and the bottom that run through there. So those are your fittings. And again, it's plastic, but it's 2018, right? Everything's plastic. So on the top side of the radiator, the two bolt holes over there lined up pretty well. These were off by just a little bit. Oops, I'm get them there. So these two were off by just a little bit. So it's easy fix. Just drilled in some new holes. Make sure that the screws don't go deep enough to put any holes between your radiator or in your radiator. Right now I can kind of fit my thumb in between the gap of the screw and the radiator itself. There's still a little bit of play with this radiator, even though it's a quote-unquote factory replacement. So I'm probably going to put some those aluminum like zip ties to hold it back in place a little more. I'm going to double check, make sure I didn't miss anything before I get into all that. For the bottom part was a little more tricky. It didn't line up quite right. The holes are off, so this I'm going to fix later. That's as close as I could get it on this side. This is the driver's side. There's a little lip that comes out. You can see it right there. Hey, where'd it go? Wrong lip. Right there. So you can see how it pushes against the frame there of the electric fan. So it's keeping that from getting flush. So I don't know, maybe I'll put a spacer. But the thing is, on this side, no need to. It sits flush. So I might put a spacer on both sides just so it kind of takes up that space and there's it's fully compressed. But that's it for the electric fan so far. Next, I'm probably going to do the where is it? I'm gonna do thermostat housing. Take out the thermostat. And then run some water through there, kind of flush out the rest of the whatever's in the motor, and then put in the new thermostat gasket, put that all together, get the radiator all buttoned up, and then do the wiring for the electric fans, and we should be good to go. So hopefully I'll get to the wiring. It's already about 5:30, so I got probably about an hour and a half left of sunlight left. Should have plenty of time, but something always comes up. So